Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you might be. I am Nicole BC, and you know everything. Hey there, friend. Thanks for coming back, especially after last week's performance. But we're getting back into the casual chats, and I'm still kind of figuring out how business, how researched, if I even need to have like a consistent way of showing up for you. It feels a lot more fun when I can be inspired in the moment and then do whatever it is that feels fun and bring it to you. I'm narrowing my focus on a couple different businesses this year. That just seems to feel like I think not that I ever like pick a word for 2026 whenever you're listening to this, but I think focus is what is really being asked of me. And I hustled hard last year. As if you've been reading The Loop, the weekly newsletter that I send out, it was all about chop wood, carry water. It was just put your head down and get her done. And right at the end of the year, I actually had some space to like look up and look around. And I thought, you know what? Let's just focus. Something that I think we're all kind of juggling right now, especially with the tools we have available to us. We were taught that you needed to be jack of all, like you needed to be a generalist. I spent most of my like youth and university and study kind of going, I need to get good at the things I'm not good at, which made it very effortful. Like I then leaned into the things that I am really good at, which became really easy. And it's sometimes even hard to understand what is easy for us because it's the thing that comes naturally. So much so that we might forget other people don't work like that. And what I'm going to talk about today is firstly disagreeing with everything I've said up until this point. Not everything, but a very particular subject matter. And what I know I'm going to be focusing on for the foreseeable future in terms of this art piece and project is building in the dumpster fire. Like I have in all of my 30 something years of local small business, creative, service oriented, nonprofit, online, scaling, saving, shuttering of business. It has never felt more unpredictable. The rules have never been more unapplicable. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, there basically are no rules. Nothing that's happened before will help you moving forward. And something I used to talk a lot about was modeling, especially when you're first getting started, but definitely when you're reaching a lull or potentially even a stall in business and in sales. And one thing that's never made sense to me, and this has a lot to do with the way that I think, this is one of my superpowers, AKA one of the things that I see very easily. And I've learned the hard way that it's not everybody sees this. To me, business is business. I have clients that are scaling 40 million in revenue with 100 plus employees without a physical location online, software as service, software as a solution, excuse me. And then I have local businesses that are doing 100K in revenue with one employee, the operator, and two like contractors that show up potentially when it's busy. They are dealing with the same challenges. They are using the same approaches. They can scale sustainably with the same systems. But everyone has always told me that's not true. You need to niche, you need to specialize. And I think that worked for a little while. And I think also there are overarching themes in life. And when we can like zoom out and zoom in and zoom out and zoom in, it's going to give you a very, very powerful perspective. And I think it's important for me. I wanted to bring that to your attention only because what we've done up until this moment may not be the way forward. And then the question becomes, so what the fuck are we supposed to do? How do we sustainably scale? How do we build a business? How do we start something? How do we shut down? How do we repurpose? How do we take the rubble from the destruction of what was and start piecing together something new? And I think all of us are going to be playing with that, regardless of what size or our revenue or how many employees or the industry or the niche. So with that, let's talk about modeling. So, a story I've told over and over and over again was my self-induced professional development program. So when I moved overseas and started my own business, do not recommend, 0 out of 10. I found the coolest people doing what I wanted to do. And I hunted them down and stalked them from afar and went to business conferences, seminars, events, parties, their social media profiles, which was much easier back in the day. There was like one platform and then two. And I looked at how they were doing business and I modeled my businesses after them. It was quite simple and it really worked. But if you're copying people now, I'm not mad at you. I'm worried about you. Copying is 100% efficient. It gives you certainty. And that is something we all will be seeking more and more because things have become wildly unpredictable. And we're using deep data to tell stories about a future that doesn't exist yet. And that's cool. And history 100% repeats itself. If you're watching, I made a face. I was going to say, like, I like to think of it more like history rhymes. We've got a few outliers that I don't need to bring into this particular episode. How are you going to do what you do? It's actually what makes you unique. And I know a lot of people have said that online, like, you're special. Your mom's told you it. Hopefully, my mom didn't tell me that very often. But I got to tell myself that a lot. Or when people told me that, it wasn't like a compliment. It was like, do we need to put you in a special class with all of the other special kids? But I digress. The reason mirroring and modeling and copying and mentorship worked so well is that it felt like, well, if I'm doing what they're doing, then I'm doing it right. But at least in this moment, copying is how you end up with a message, with a business, with a purpose, with a life that's designed for someone else. When you're following someone else's rules and playing someone else's game, you will win for them. And we talked a little bit about this in the last episode. The system is rigged. So if you play by their rules, this is what happens. Like, look around. And I just want to also call out, when I look around, I see a bucolic winter landscape in a beautiful little town with a bunch of people in. If I watch the news like I did last night, things are different. And depending on where you are, my people, I'm here for you. There is different work to be done. And this is exactly what I mean. Depending on your reality and the story you are living and the desired end results, you are going to be called to different work, sometimes hour by hour. That's what I mean by play by your own rules. That's what I mean when I say, if it feels good, keep doing it. If there is something occurring that you feel like you can have a direct impact on and affect the change you wish to see, fucking do it. Shut the doors. Don't worry about the emails for the day. And if there isn't something in your immediate proximity, there may be something you can do professionally, creatively, purposefully that will feel good, despite, again, the crumbling of everything around you. I truly believe that if you're doing your work, air quotes, that is the positive change you wish to see in the world. It might not feel like you are making a dent in some of the horrific things that are happening, and test it. It's never for me to tell you what to do. It is always for you to go, what's the experiment I can run here? And I wonder what would happen if, after listening to this episode, you don't even have to keep listening to it. You can start this experiment right now. You just did what needed to get done in your day, in your life, from a place of, this is what matters to me. And I'm going to approach this from hope and desire. And imagine that upon completion of this project or task, things are going to be a teensy bit better, 1% better, right? Things are messy right now. I'm not trying to say that's not what's happening. What I am offering are different ways of approaching and potentially cleaning up the mess, even if it's just your side of the street, even if it's just your front yard. It might even just be your driveway, right? Test it, see how that feels. My sense is, my personal experiences is that when you're doing what you need to do, things do get a little bit easier and some momentum is created, which leads to inertia. And I'm telling you this, I need to hear this just as much, my friend. Believe me, you. When we're worried about what's happening on the other side of the street, when we're copying other people, when we're using outdated models, especially if we're feeding that into our AI, our machine, our algorithm, our experience is going to keep yielding the thing we don't want, the thing that keeps happening in the past that we're trying to avoid, that we're trying to learn beyond. This is still where I believe like we as creative beings have an edge over the data consolidators. Copying is surface replication. Copying is exactly what it says. It is copying. It will create the Xeroxed version, probably with a little less quality and resolution available, right? Let's think about this from like ye olden days, when we would bestow our wisdom and our skills and our expertise upon like the young Padawans, aka apprenticeships. Cognitive apprenticeship is the same. You learn how to think and how to be creative by watching others. You get supported and coached if you seek that out, or potentially you're more of a tactile learner by practicing and doing it over and over again, reflecting, exploring, challenging, and repeat. This is where that whole 10,000 hours thing came from. This was both modeling and also improving upon, and also being supported, and also getting taught, and also reflecting. This is how we learn. It's not a linear path. It's how you become. And I did a very early episode on Amy Cuddy's presence in the Quantum Business Book Club, where she challenged that old statement, fake it till you make it, and offered fake it till you become it. When you actually start sort of embodying and living these experiments, you will evolve into the leader, the creative, the artist that you desire to be. The same goes for these systems and foundations we're building in our businesses. If you build it, they will come, right? Now, for some of us, we've been doing that for 20, 30 years. For others of us, it felt like kind of an overnight success. I have the opportunity of working with a lot of people who were like, I did not think that this was going to go this way. And it went incredibly well, but now I'm completely overwhelmed and I don't know how to create the capacity to manage the business that I have, let alone scale it sustainably. Looking to everyone else, I get to have this conversation as well with a lot of my people because they are doing something really different, especially because they're doing it purposefully, as in there's something bigger than themselves that they are attempting to achieve and offer the world, their people, their family, et cetera, their communities, their families. There is no comparison. And that's what inspired this episode. It's not only that the old rules no longer apply, it's that by looking around at other people in your market, in your industry, on your street, they aren't doing what you're doing. They aren't capable of what you're capable of. So why the fuck would you compare yourself to them? We could apply that to everybody, right? So stop feeding your AI other people's content. Start producing your own. Build out your own models. Set up your own experiments. I'm creating scorecards. I'm creating master marketing calendars. I'm creating these very intuitive and sophisticated spreadsheets. That is what AI is very good at. Show me how to get predictive from my own storytelling and my own data, or, the businesses and clients on behalf that I'm working for. What's happening right now is what's called model collapse. When generative models are trained on recursively generated outputs, quality degrades over time. And the training gets polluted and loses diversity. And we all end up kind of doing the same thing. This is where like the concept of automatons came from. When you're just copying, it's not creative. It's a learning model. It's appropriate for beginners for a limited amount of time. But at some point, you got to get out of the echo chamber. If your prompts are from other people's posts, if you're inputting other people's transcripts, if you're using other people's frameworks, you will get wallpaper output. And it'll look a lot like your Instagram feed right now, where it's AI creating images with AI captions, AI automatically responding to it, and AI commenting in return. It's boring. So what do we do, right? Like, maybe you feel like you're beginning, maybe you feel like you're in a pivot moment where you need to change something because what's been working or what you've attempted isn't getting the results you literally need. Maybe you're just one of those people that continually love to ideate and just tinker with the model. So what do we do? Map the mechanism. So don't copy and paste their words. Study their overall presence. What's the vibe? What topics are they covering? What are their suggestions and solutions? How do they show up? What feels real? What is the temperature of their post or their comment or their model or their framework, right? Like, get a vibe, get your own read on it, and take a few notes. This is where AI could be potentially very useful, is you fill out your own quiz, right? Your own sort of quotient. Like, what do you think about this? And you could pop in a handful of different, and I would argue do this over across platforms, across channels, so that you're able to see like how these people are showing up differently, if at all, or are they just repurposing on different days and hours? Like, these are all really interesting questions, right? Observe the constraints. What aren't they doing? What aren't they talking about? Where aren't they showing up? Are they on every platform? What questions are they asking? And then what answers are they offering? Where are they leaving space for you to explore more? This is where things can get, I think, useful. It'd be interesting to see how you experience it, because their why is going to be different than yours. And when you ask, but why are they talking about this? Why are they telling this story now? Why that example? Why that CTA? Why that call to action? Now you're starting to get into like tastemaker space. When you can extract the principles, you turn what feel like their rules into trends. And this is where the whole like start with tension, build anticipation, move into a hot take, AKA your opinion that is in contrast to another. You'll start to see things that firstly light you up, but secondly, turn you off. And this is where, when I was kind of asking myself, but what's happening right now? We're mirroring even when we don't like it, because we're told that that's what works. Like, as an example, current events. You'll notice, outside of just honoring the fact that things are challenging or there is a lot happening, I'm not getting into the politics of it. That just doesn't feel like my space. If you know me, you know I'm very opinionated, and it is something I will talk about in my personal life. But for this particular platform, for these particular conversations, I don't care if current events will land you in someone's trending page. I'm just not going to do it. It just doesn't feel like part of my brand. People will have opinions on that. They'll say, you're putting your head in the sand, or you're taking a very passive stance in a very aggressive environment. And that's okay. I get that. Knowing what you're not willing to do, knowing what you don't like, knowing what doesn't resonate with you, that actually points you very close to where you want to go. So if you're feeling a little lost in the sauce right now, uninspired, overwhelmed, looking to what isn't working, the opposite of that is what might actually start being your thing. So Yes, there's going to be some research. I'm not saying don't research. I've not ever said don't research. But what I'm saying is don't model, don't copy, don't use their strategies as your own. This is when we move into the testing phase. So you've now done your research. You have set up some experiments to run based on what you think might work, what you feel excited about, and what you know you're not willing to do. You can use your own data. So look back on what you've done up until this moment. What were things that surprised you? Test one of those and then run the experiment immediately. Start now. Stop listening and start now. As soon as you land on something that works, that feels alive, that seems to get a response, do more of that. Only change one major variable at a time. This is tried, tested, and true. This one's since the dawn of time. We adapt, right? We regenerate, we repurpose, and we keep going. Run the experiment until you start to feel like this is consistent. This strategy works. Have fun with it. Be specific with it. Get out of your comfort zone, just 1%. When you try something new, stick with it by changing one variable until it starts to work. And also give yourself an end date and then go back to the beginning and go, why didn't this land? In my notes here, I have record 2 versions, one clean and one feral. Perhaps you're showing up in a way that you think you should, or that you think people expect of you. Just attempt one wild, new, off the wall version. See what happens. I like to tell people, and there's so much shorter lived content available online. So you can test it with like an Instagram story or even a TikTok video. These things can be deleted, and can test pretty quickly. TikTok is actually a great place for testing because of the way their algorithm works. But if you're curious about a new strategy or a new voice or a new message, test it. You don't have to come up with all of this by yourself anymore. You don't have to have all of the answers anymore. It would be impossible. It's always been impossible, but like more so now than ever. And ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, they don't have all of the answers either. They have a lot of information that is on a spectrum of accuracy, but you're the one that is going to know what your model needs to look like in order for you to feel resourced and then be able to test it until you feel successful. You are the source, not the algorithm, not me, not the templates you're copying. I was in a yoga workshop yesterday, and students kept asking, but is it this? Is it 45 degrees, or is it like between 45 and 90? And like, do I need to have, this particular position, or is it that? And I finally snapped and I said, there is no one right answer because there is no one body that is the same as another. There are guidelines that can be offered, but you feel it. And what works for me, because I am more flexible and or more strong or potentially less, is not going to be don't look at me to know how you're supposed to hold your body. Feel your body, listen to the cues and play with it. Just play with it. You might find turning something despite the teacher telling you to do it the other way, giving yourself 5 degrees of leeway enables you to move into that posture in a way that feels amazing in your body. That's the right way. And that might be different tomorrow. We got to stop looking for the one right way of doing things. It doesn't exist. So try this for a framework. 70, 20, 10. 70% your original material. Transcripts, voice notes, stories that you're interested in, whether it's your own client testimonials or your own customer reviews, or if you're just getting started, make them up. Talk about record or write 10 reviews that you would like to receive, or 10 complaints that you could get. Create your own lived frameworks and put this into your AI. And then from there, pull 20% of research, books, studies, interviews, history. I will find voices that I really like, but they're typically unrelated. So they're artists, they're writers, they're comedians, they're musicians. That's redundant. All of those people are all artists, but like actual visual creators, architects, painters, sculptors, and put that into my AI as a voice that I want to emulate, right? And from there, the 10% can be copied and pasted. So there's all sorts of people out there that'll give you a free downloaded template or, a framework to build from. Try it. Just don't make it everything. Start with 70% you, 20% validated data, and 10% people on the internet talking at your face. Hello. It's one of the reasons I've never done templates. I personally don't respond well to shit like that. I don't think it works. I think it's having been a part of 1,000 different containers and systems that people sell for $500 a month or $100,000 a year. Those templates aren't any better than what you can do on Google Sheets for free. And it can look as simple as I post one post every day. I tell a different story every day. I do that for 3 months. I look at what feels alive. And after the 3 months, what I feel excited about. Like it can be that simple. So yeah, play with prompts as well. The way you engage with your AI is your creativity. The way I ask questions, also one of my superpowers, admittedly, but it's completely different than the way anybody else asks it. In my loop, I offer a BZ AI prompt at the end of every loop to start playing with creative ways of asking your AI to get different answers. Full credit to Emily Clintworth. She inspired me to do this. She does this with astrology, and she uses a very, it's not even Vedic. It's an incredibly old school way of looking at the stars. And so I just want to give credit where credit's due. It's important to credit anybody that you're taking an idea from. So thank you. So how do you do that? Spend a couple of minutes just getting really clear on the POV you're exploring. So here's some ideas. And I've seen people actually save this into a custom GPT. Again, use whatever AI model you want, but to remind them to ask the question that nobody else is asking. So the thing everyone says that I think is incomplete or off or wrong is ... The pattern I keep seeing is ... The cost of ignoring this is ... The alternative I'm building is ... 3 stories that prove I'm not just talking are ... So get critical in your own prompts. And what I mean is challenge the status quo, question the dominant narrative. What's one thing I'm not asking that I should be? What are 3 other ways of evaluating this from a PhD's perspective? What I often say to my AI is, if I were defending a PhD level thesis, what would I be grilled on? Start collating your own data. I do this through recorded voice memos. I actually do that now directly into chat. So I have a couple of different projects that I have that in real time, I'll just be recording voice messages as new chats into. And because it's in the same project, it allows it to kind of collate all of that. I use a couple different AI models as well that I know are better at, like, so Perplexity for research, Humata for long studies and research evaluations. Claude I haven't gotten into, but I'm not in corporate. And my understanding is if you're, building in corporate, Claude would probably be better. Plod is what I'm going to look into getting. It is actually a piece of hardware with its own AI model. It's HIPAA compliant. Thanks to one of my clients for pointing that one out to me. But yeah, there's a bunch of different models out there that could potentially be better used for your purposes. So there's that. Copying is useful when you're learning to walk. Like when you are an infant mimicking grown-ups, go for it. But you're never meant to stay there. And if you're going to build out frameworks, do it like it's a research project. Like you were a scientist testing a hypothesis, but you were bringing a new theory into reality. And that is what you're testing, not their systems. You are using their systems with something new. You are hypothesizing. And then from there, you test it, you iterate, repeat until you find success. Borrow their mechanics, understand their principles, but adapt that and repurpose it and therefore regenerate into something you can use. And here's why this matters so much. When you figure out how to do this is what I've been talking about the whole time. So I am owning the hypocrisy in my saying, don't model after them any longer. And I am zooming far enough out to identify this pattern. It is your blueprint for success. When you understand how you can tinker with something, make it yours, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. You're stealing like an artist. Read the book if you don't know what I'm talking about. There is no such thing as like a unique idea, but every idea you have is unique. And so when you understand how you can take what was and compost it and grow something new, you will be able to do that over and over and over and over again. This is how you get repeat serial entrepreneurs is they find their system, they create their own unique model. Inherent in that is their unreplicable IP, the way they think, the way they do, the way they lead, the way they create. And then that becomes the thing that they can rinse, wash, and repeat. So it is 100% a both and. There's more information out there now than ever, and it's all in the past. Use that, understand it, find your own patterning and unique way of distilling that, and then go and create something only you could do. That's my challenge to you, my friend. The future isn't going to reward the best impersonator. It's going to honor the people who can see, explain, and do their own thing clearly. I think that's it. I think that's all I got. Thank you. Coming in hot with this new year energy, I think. What am I talking about next week? Oh, yeah, next week we're going to get into the ethics of this. Like, if the old rules don't apply anymore, how do you know what's right and wrong? When everyone is continuing to still look at what was happening and then expect that to still apply, like as an example, how do you lead? How do you remunerate? How do you honor the exchange of work? When it feels like literally the value of our money, which has to date been the way that we have exchanged, is wildly fluctuating. How do you honor effort? How do you help people grow? How do you run a freaking business when it feels impossible? Yeah, like the ethics of that are evolving for sure. So yeah, it's a lot out there, and hopefully these will be shorter than the fantasy saves the world, but I still love that series. And I think if you're looking for inspiration and why imagination and creativity are the only ways forward, in my opinion, review those when you got some time. You got a long drive ahead of you or you're struggling to sleep. I don't know that my dulcimer tones would be the best thing if you're struggling to sleep. But anywho, I've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot happening. And there's people who are building and scaling successfully. I know because I'm working with them, and they are local, terrestrial, small businesses. So I've also, worked with like the online people doing the tech thing. They're also growing. So it's possible, I promise. And when you do it your way, you'll discover that success and be able to replicate it, create some certainty in there. So, anyhow, thanks for listening, my friend. Love you. Bye.